Alright, so I decided to record this video in response to a Facebook post I made a few days ago. The headline was kind of provocative: why Hillary can't win. Her supporters don't try to convert anybody. They immediately default to the mainstream media rhetoric. You know, he's a racist, he's a bigot, he hates women, you know, and they never really engage you in conversation. It's always just immediately, you know, you're a moron for liking this guy. When half the time it's not even about him, it's about what's going on around us and how we're all being manipulated. So I thought it was interesting. A couple days ago, this whole rigged election thing came out, and if you'll notice, every time you hear rigged election, it's always in parentheses, like, this is crazy, this is like believing the earth is flat, you know, there's no way this could be true. So let's start out real quick with what journalistic integrity is. It's focused on four main elements: being accurate, fair, thorough, and with integrity. All right, this is the Society of Professional Journalists. All people in all media should be accurate, fair, thorough, and with integrity. Right? The opposite of journalistic integrity is propaganda. Propaganda is information that is not impartial and is used primarily to influence an audience and further an agenda, often by presenting facts selectively, perhaps lying by omission to encourage a particular synthesis, or using loaded messages to produce an emotional rather than a rational response to the information presented. Okay, moving forward, I want to put everything through a propaganda versus journalistic integrity filter. All right, propaganda, they're weighing the scale on one side or the other. You know, they're trying to convince you of something that may not necessarily be true, but it's what they want you to believe. Okay. Versus journalistic integrity, which is being fair, presenting both sides of the coin, allowing the reader or the subscriber to draw their own conclusion. So how do they do this? How could they rig this election? How could they control our minds this way? And how they do it is through consolidation of power. 6 corporations control 90% of the media in America. All right, and there's been some changes over the last few years. GE's purchase isn't owned by NBC. Now Time Warner doesn't own AOL, so there's been some incestuous moves, but it hasn't really changed all that much. The fact is that 90% of the media, 90% of what we read, watch, or listen to is controlled by 6 corporations. In 1983, the year before I was born, 90% of the media was controlled by 50 companies. In 2011, it was 6 companies. Who are they? GE, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, CBS. Comcast Cable, NBC, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, ESPN, NFL, Showtime, HBO. They're all owned by the same group. Fox News, I want to reiterate that. Fox News. 232 media executives control the information diet of 277 million Americans. That's one executive for every almost million subscribers, are determining what we see and how we see it. They obviously make billions of dollars. They control 70% of our cable. So the NBC merger guarantees that 1 in every 5 hours of television will be controlled by either Comcast or NBC. They have a monopoly in 11 U.S. markets. The news, 178 million unique viewers read Time Warner News every month, primarily through the Wall Street Journal. So I want to show you something really interesting about this real quick. So 178 million unique viewers, primarily through the Wall Street Journal. All right. WikiLeaks recently revealed that the DNC, actually, it was WikiLeaks. The DNC is having off-the-record meetings with the Wall Street Journal, with the owner of the Wall Street Journal. So, yeah, it doesn't really mean anything, but it is definitely interesting. It's the start of a trend that we're going to see repeatedly over and over again. Media outlets exposed by donor list of Clinton Foundation, NBC Universal, News Corp, Turner Broadcasting, Reuters, and dozens of other media outlets. Fox News, George Stephanopoulos, Viacom, AOL, Huffington Post, on and on and on, all donating huge money. Google just added a feature to fact check. Notice this little subliminal picture here because he's the one who needs fact checking, right? Facebook's algorithm may not fix their trending topics bias issue. It's an interesting challenge because it speaks to the problem of our algorithm, said Byron Galbraith, The data that drives the algorithm is inherently biased. Twitter ban reignites social media bias accusations. So they banned this conservative commentator for getting into a Twitter battle with one of the actresses from Ghostbusters. So this all was sparked by a conversation I had online. Somebody sent me this video. I said, "How can you support Hillary?" And they sent me this video, and they said, "This will show you the character of both." So this is made by PBS Frontline. This is paid for by people like you and by like me. We paid for this, so you would think we'd be getting some journalistic integrity here. It's unbiased, and it's about the choice we have. Which choice should we make? So it's an hour and 45 minutes. It was quite an investment of time. It turned into a much more significant investment of time after I realized what was actually happening. And I don't want to focus in on just one piece here, but I want to show you how this one piece really is part of a much larger web of all these different corporations working together to push one particular narrative. Alright, so I'm not going to show you the video. I didn't want to make any issues. So fortunately on their website they do have their transcript. So this is the transcript of the actual video itself. This kind of gives us the play-by-play. I just want to show you real quick how the bias works in this Choice 2016 film. So they had 21 different references for Hillary. They had 15 friends. So 21 professional, either journalists or chief of staff or book writers, authors, different things. And this was the narrative they were pushing. Okay? Don't believe me, watch the movie. You'll see them coming down, boom, 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 in order. I jotted these down as they were happening. All right? On Trump's side, they had one source and 2 friends. All right? This was the narrative that they were pushing. Again, watch the movie if you'd like, or just read the transcript. It'll tell you the same thing. He wanted revenge, he was spoiled, blah, blah, blah. All right? So just to really hammer this point home, I want to show you something. Here's some quotes, and I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about. He had a picture of his lawyer. It was grainy black and white. He looked like the devil. He would pull it out and he would say, "This is my lawyer. If we can't make an agreement, this is who's going to, be dealing with it." He hired his lawyer in 1973 to defend him in a discrimination against black renters looking for apartments. All right, so this is pushing the racist narrative. The narrator says, he was a star athlete. He claimed he could have played baseball. His classmates agree he was proudest of winning the ultimate accolade in an all-boys school. He was named Ladies' Man in the school yearbook. Hugh Hefner, the publisher of Playboy, was a role model for many of these boys. Yeah, he had a very Hugh Hefner Playboy magazine view of success. Narrator, the young cadets learned a lot from Playboy magazine and what they call barracks talk. I think this is so interesting because this came out weeks before the infamous Donald Trump audio tape came out. And it was filmed months before that. So, barracks talk, in all quotes. In fact, our biggest advice in, our lives came from Playboy magazine. That's how we learned a lot about women. That was all of my adolescence, and that's why getting out of military school was difficult. You had to realize that you couldn't just follow the Playboy philosophy. All right, so this is Sandy McIntosh. I don't know who this is. It says went to the same school. It didn't say classmate, but this is some person they found that went to the same school, and he's saying that the hardest part about leaving was he had to realize he just couldn't follow the Playboy philosophy anymore. All right, they would graduate and grow up, but Donald's classmates say in some ways he never changed at all. All right, so we see which side of the narrative this is going on. I remember that every time Professor Emerson asked a question, Hillary was the first hand in the air, and when he called on her, she always got the answer exactly right. That was at a huge event for her, and she came into her dorm room, she threw her handbag against the wall, and she said, "I can't stand it anymore. They've killed him. They've killed him. Who? Martin." They spend a lot of time on how she was a race champion. She went to a Martin Luther King rally. I remember our class philosophy in the 6th grade, or our class prophecy. Hillary would be married to a U.S. senator. Wow. I can see it that early, huh? Gwenda Blair. Marble collegiate church with Norman Vincent Peale as the minister, he preached the gospel of success. Success was not only okay, it was a good idea, and you should actually do it. So they try to present it like Trump worships success. He learned success as a religion. Hugh and Hillary always had a good relationship that had its difficulties. Hillary goes to school and makes straight A's, and he says, that must be a really easy school if you're getting straight A's. I mean, she gets no credit for her effort, no credit for her work. So this is Hugh's her dad. So her dad was really hard on her, as men have been throughout her life. The truth about Trump, author. This is a very deep part of the Trump story. The family subscribes to a racehorse theory of human development, that they believe that there are superior people, and that if you put together the genes of a superior woman and a superior man, you'll get superior offspring. Michael D'Antonio. Who is this guy, this Michael D'Antonio? I want to show you who these people are. Timothy O'Brien, Graydon Carter, Michael D'Antonio, all of these folks. Who are they? Tim O'Brien. The litigious and bullying Mr. Trump. Graydon Carter, Donald Trump, the ugly American, Vanity Fair. The good, the bad, the short-fingered. Politico. Marvin Rothman told the truth, was punished for it, and then fought back. The man who beat Donald Trump. Gail Sheehy, American therapists are worried about the effects of our mental health. Joe Klein, Trump supporters a real threat to this country. Tony Schwartz, narcissistic injury, threat to narcissist inflated self-esteem. That's why Trump is obsessed with his accusers, even as he destroys his own campaign. Never Enough, Trump and the Pursuit of Success by Michael D'Antonio. The inside story of how The Apprentice rescued Donald Trump. So again, all of these folks, the Washington Post, Time, Vanity Fair, all these authors, everyone just dumping on Trump. It's not like he knew anything but comfort. When it rained, he had to deliver his papers. The chauffeur would take him around. Hillary helped engineer a comeback that returned her husband to the governorship and put her in the national spotlight for the next 34 years. She has wonderful instinct for the jugular. She completely forfeited her identity, at least physically. She got rid of the glasses, she got her hair dyed, she started dressing at least modestly better, wore some makeup, cultivated a little bit of a drawl. She sacrificed. Hillary got very involved in the campaign. For all intents and purposes, she was the campaign manager for Bill. They really make it look like Bill was a moron and she was always fixing it. She didn't want women to be the accessories to their husband, and that is usually what a political wife is an accessory to her husband, and it didn't fit well. It is with humility, determination, and boundless confidence in America's promise that I accept your nomination. So this is the very beginning where they first introduce her, and they play this very nice clip of her accepting it. This is how they introduce Trump. Donald Trump's fantasy is to be the guy who takes the key to the Oval Office from Barack Obama's hand in 2017, and it's personal. This is a burning personal need that he has to redeem himself for being humiliated by the first black president. So they started all off by Trump getting roasted by Obama at the correspondence dinner and just being humiliated. They show the whole thing. And they make it out that Trump is doing this whole thing for revenge because Obama called him out and made him look stupid about the whole birther movement thing. So again, here's the narratives we're seeing. I mean, do these look familiar? She patched up heads during a riot. She was anti-police brutality. She would go out to riots about police brutality. She was better than Bill. She can keep secrets. Versus Trump. His mentor enjoyed ruining lives. Discrimination. Declared victory even if you lose. Truthful hyperbole. Repeated enough and people believe it. Needs the spotlight. Doesn't apologize no matter what. He's a bully. He's not CEO. He's just a PR person. Apprentice made him. His deepest hunger is for attention. I mean, this is what this movie was about. So there's the scale, look, weighted evenly to you. 15 friends, 21 sources, one source, 2 friends, and these are the themes of the movie. How is this not propaganda? I mean, this is propaganda. It's exactly what this is. I want you to remember all these different companies, okay? Because I'm going to show you something else. Alright, so we just saw how a publicly funded company can put out a piece of propaganda which is heavily weighted on one side, that's totally impartial, and is pushing an agenda. That is the definition of propaganda. Okay? So now let's get into back to this rigged election thing. So look at all these headlines. Everything is in quotations. Why Trump's rigged election claim is wrong and dangerous. Officials fight Donald Trump on claims the rigged vote. GOP leaders created this myth, and now they're getting their payback. Trump insists election is rigged, divides the Republican Party. I know. Everything is, this is crazy. We got one guy here, Trump has a point. Fox News. They're all the same. Rigged election. Well, guess what, folks? We've already seen this. We've already seen exactly how they rig it. We've already seen how they weighed the scale against Bernie. How they all conspired against him. How he didn't stand a chance from the start. And even though this news came out, even though everybody saw it, they didn't care. There's no outrage over this. The outrage is all over Trump. Now we know that CNN is feeding them questions. It's proven. I mean, it's in the WikiLeaks. She's denying it, but it's there. So I want to show you an example of how they cover something up. So this book's coming out a year or so ago called Clinton Cash. It's the untold story of how and why foreign governments and businesses helped make Bill and Hillary rich. So this book outlines all the ways that they took money from overseas. All right, let's see the news about this book. Clinton Cash, it's a playbook for Trump. They had to make 7 or 8 revisions. It's biased. It won't fly. Former Colombian ambassador pushes back. You know, they're just totally bashing this book. Now we see in the WikiLeaks emails, here's a conversation going on about accepting money from foreign entities. If we do it case by case, then it will be subjective. We would look at who the donor is and what the foreign entity they are registered for in judging whether to take the money. We will consider the relationship between the country and the United States, its relationship with the State Department during Hillary's time as secretary, and its relationship, if any, to the foundation. In judging the individual, we will look at their history of support for political candidates generally and Hillary's past campaigns specifically. As a legal matter, I'm not saying we have to do this. We can decide to simply ban foreign registrants entirely. I'm just offering this up as a middle ground. So he says we can vet them. We can go through them individually and see if they meet the criteria. Or we cannot accept any of them and not risk it. So repeatedly, this lady's jumping in going, hey, we really need to make a decision on this. We're getting to the point of no return. So here's the interesting one. Robbie Mook writes, Mark has a convincing case to me this AM that these sorts of restrictions don't really get you anything. That Obama actually got judged more harshly as a result. He convinced me. So in a complete U-turn, I'm okay just taking the money and dealing with any attacks. Are you guys okay with that? Hillary Rodham Clinton replies, take the money. Foreign registered agents. Take the money. Cover up, take the money. Cover up, take the money. We are being brainwashed, folks. All we see is trash and trash and trash and trash, and we're totally missing what's going on right now. So what can we do about it? What can we do? All I'm asking you to do moving forward is apply the journalistic integrity filter versus propaganda. Avoid the mainstream. Avoid all these headlines that are the same on every single website. They're trying to feed you a narrative. And when you see the same thing over and over again, you're going to start to accept it. Do some research for yourself. I want to show you something. This is a really cool website. It's called thedrudgereport.com. Matt Drudge puts this out, and this is stuff you're not going to see on the front page. This is a smorgasbord. He doesn't write anything himself. He just takes columns from other places and posts them here, and you can click on them. So these are all these different websites, CNN, Politico, all over the place. But these are articles that you're not going to see on the front page. These are things you're not going to see on your Twitter feed. These are really, really, really powerful things that you're probably not even aware of that are going on. So what else can you do? When you see something that's not mainstream, that other people may not see, forward it on, post it. Don't be afraid to share information. Just because something isn't positive about Hillary doesn't mean you should be afraid that you're going to get attacked as some Trump supporter. I'm doing this video right now, and I'm not afraid of what's going to come from this, because I think that we as citizens deserve to know that we are being manipulated and brainwashed. So, what do we do? Well, we have a chance with Donald Trump to hit the reset button, to start over when it comes to being owned by multinational globalist corporations who control everything we see. They control almost everything that we eat. They control our medication. They control our doctors. They control our healthcare. They control everything. And we're going to be living blind forever unless we take this opportunity to expose what they've been doing and prevent that from ever happening again. Whether Donald Trump is a great president or is a terrible president, at least he's going to expose what's really happening behind the scenes. Let's say he's a terrible president. He'll be out of there in 4 years, but at least we'll know what's going on. At least we'll have a chance to make our own decisions next time around. If Hillary gets in, this propaganda machine is only going to continue. She's going to get reelected because she's going to own the media again. And the only way she can't is if she gets exposed. But guess what, folks? She's been exposed. People already know that the DNC was rigged, and they don't care. What is going to come out that people are going to care about? I mean, there's fraud all over the place if you just look, but nobody really wants to look. So I encourage you, stop living in denial. Open your eyes to what's going on around you. Stop judging things from an emotional standpoint, and really start looking at things from a factual standpoint. Apply that filter, and make your own decision. Stop following everybody else's opinion, and form your own through doing research. So I'll be posting some more videos down the road that get a little bit more in-depth into some of these, in particular, scandals, and really show you how they're doing it, how they're pulling it off, and what we can do to stop it. So if you made it this far in the video, props to you. Appreciate your time.